voice, but he don't want to be seen. Dr. Benjamin Banneker, what people don't understand about the man that was deep. Benjamin Banneker was not only an inventor, that's what you was taught. The best work that everybody ever know about Benjamin Banneker is the clock. That's what everybody talks about, the clock. But Benjamin Banneker was an astrologer and a mathematician. He was one of the free blacks, the Moors that were here. When the country was founded, there were guilds. You have to understand what a guild is. Guilds are circles of what you call witches or warlocks. Witch meaning a wise woman. Warlock being that, you know, the conjurers. They were spellcasters, clairvoyants, and different things like that. They were powerful because they had dug up ancient rituals, ancient magic. They were basing off of numerology and astrology. When they came to the country at first, they came and they mixed with the indigenous that was already here, formed things like the Iroquois Nation. The Iroquois Nation is what the United States Constitution is based off the Iroquois Constitution. When they came, the white boys, they came with another guild that they brought from England, from their translation of Masonic guilds that they had stolen out of Africa. They used it in a different format. This is where everybody get lost at, because they think the white boy magic is the same magic you got. It's not. They use the principles and the dogma of what you were talking about, Egyptian or Kemite or African. When you say Kemet, you got to say Africa, because it's in Africa. There's no such thing as a Middle East, a Middle West. There's no such thing as Africa or Akibulon. You see? Or the ancient names that we don't even pronounce, what they called. When they came, they had this magic, but they had summoned their particular spirit, their particular worship. They went into a different chamber. Gods like Moloch, Azazel. These were the underlords. This is where you get the story heaven and hell and those type of stories, which is another whole story. They had summoned these gods. They had guilds of magic. They came here as York and Scottish Rite. When they encountered these other brothers, these brothers never called themselves Moors. They had their guilds under the Iroquois and different people like that they had entrusted and trained and created the sciences. Some of them were from Africa or Kibulon. Some of them were from here. They were free. They had traveled here. They lived free. They lived rich and free. Benjamin Banneker was no guy like a regular guy. He was like an Obama. He was up there with them. They looked at him as being powerful because he had the guilds. He was a mathematician and astrologer. Some say he even had Dogon blood. And the Dogon was known to be the master astrologer. They brought the whole astrology thing to full-fledged. Christopher Columbus couldn't have traveled with a ship unless he went through the Dogon. He had those navigators on board, because that's what it was all about. Remember, the white boy looked at the earth as being flat.
Right.
He never looked at it round. The African concept said that you go around the globe, that the earth was round, that under was over, as above, so below. When they came and they encountered these people with this ancient magic, these people were advancing civilization. The white boy came and wanted to set up civilization. You have to know who he was, the colonies were, and what they were here for. We learned the story that they were here for, because they got kicked out, they wanted to do their own religious practices and stuff like that. Yeah, true they did, but it wasn't religion like you did. It was a craft that they wanted to practice. Most of them was criminals. Most of them was thieves, liars, killers. They left there. They came into this piece of rock. They never discovered anything because it was already indigenous races here. They put a label on them called Indians. They were already here, and it was blacks that were here too. See, but when the black man get caught up at, the black man wanted to say he was here now and claim their identity, but have none of the power or abilities that these people have, because he don't use the ancient right and the magic. He don't want to study the magic. He just want to claim their identity. That's another story. When they came here, those white boys who had a lesser power encountered these cats. When they encountered them, they taught the white boys some stuff, helped them set up the ship. John Hanson was the first original president of the United States of America, or United Colonies, before General George Washington was. He was a general. The white boy set up his military system here. He fought a war in the early 1700s called the Black War, later to be named the Seminole War. There were no such thing as Seminole Indians at all. That was all black or indigenous races that they put together. But these blacks I'm talking about, like Benjamin Banneker and them, they had nothing to do with that. They was with the white boy. Because they were prestigious. They were warlocks, sorcerers. Benjamin Banneker was commissioned by the Colombian Free Right Masons, another group, a guild that come out of the New York Right. These people came and they wanted to design the hub of the colonies, which would be its economic base. That's why it's called Washington, D.C. D.C. stands for the District of Columbia. It's not a state, it's a district, a business district. It is the head corporate offices of the United States of America, of this big thing that they put together. It's built on 5 points. Benjamin Banneker designed the 5 points. The 5 points, if you go from the top of the spear of the 5 points, the 5 point is called a pentagram. In ancient magic, the pentagram star is used for conjuring the magic. A pentagram covered in a circle is to lock in the magic. You see, and protect those that are doing the conjuring, to build a circle outside of the circle. So if you understand the circle in the circle, you understand Ku Klux Klanism, what kind of magic Albert Pike was laying down when he got here. But these white boys, they commissioned Benjamin Banneker. And when I say white boys, I ain't just talking about the cracker that you see right here, the redneck. This American is a redneck. I'm talking about white boys. I'm talking about white pigmentation, white, pale, white, blue vein, blue blood, Yakubian white boys. From Geneva, Switzerland, and countries like that are free countries of the world. Why don't Switzerland ever be in a war? Switzerland's never in the war because the powers that be live in Switzerland. That's why everybody goes to Geneva to talk it out. I don't care who you is, Iran, Iraq, Korea, America, England. You go to Switzerland to talk it out. Who are they talking to in Switzerland? That's another point too. But these white boys designed the 5 points of D.C. with all the monuments on each 5 point. In the center is, you got the pentagon. In the center is an octagon and a hexagon. How many sides does a hexagon have?
6. A hexagon, 8.
8 sides.
No, 8 sides is an octagon.
Octagon.
Right.
Hex, I think it's
6.
13, but it's a hexagon. It's the center of the pentagram. In that is 13 layers. That's why when they said 9/11 happened, they said a plane flew to Washington and hit the Pentagon, and it pierced through the 13 layers. The Pentagon is the center command of its war mechanism. It is the heart. In the Pentagon is a suitcase, the doomsday suitcase. In case of emergency, the president has a version of it, but the big version is there. They press the button, make the phone call, let the sequences, codes, and goddammit, the nuclear weapons fly. This is the center. This is where the Army, Navy, Marines, every form of CIA, FBI, NSA, all of these people have an office here. This is the war mechanism of the United States Corporation. The 5 points represent each direction of the 5 point of the magic. It's all symbolized from a god that they have named Baphomet. Baphomet is the goat. It is actually the goat of Mendes. At first, Professor John D. England was one of the first people to come and bring that image out of Germany of this goat. This goat is also called Azazel. Azazel was the 3rd Legion commander of the Gates of Hell. It wasn't Lucifer, but it was like Lucifer. It's also known as Pan, the god of the forest, the sex. You see, Azazel is also known as master of weapons of war. You see, in trickery. You see, and the goat sits, and the head of the goat is a pentagram inverted. To invert, when you stand a pentagram up, you stand it up as a seal. When you invert the pentagram, you turn the magic upside down, like Hitler did with the swastika, which is really an African symbol called a telehesis. You see, he used the key. He was able to use the keys, the frequencies, to unlock the portal of that particular dimension, of that world, of that magic. They built this head upside down to the circumferences where the bottom head of the pentagram was pointing north and down into the direction of north, you see, of the goat sphere. And this is Baphomet. He also designed another set of buildings off to the east of it that's in the 6-point star. It's Benjamin Banneker. He did it all from the star celestial charts to line up everything. This is why the Washington Monument sits in the top part of it, because it represents the phallic. Phallic is the big dick in the sky. It means man, the masculine principle, controls and runs this. This is all magic. Benjamin Banneker was a cat. They only teach you like a clock. But there was other cats like him too. But he was a mathematician and a sorcerer in his own right. What is a sorcerer? Those who can use the sources of nature. That is a sorcerer. When you use words, we use those words, we look at them as bad words. A sorcerer. Those are those that can use the forces of nature, who can conjure and control the forces and know how to use them. You see, these were black people, these were melanated people. The white boy, after he got through, he knew he couldn't stay in power because these people were more powerful than him. So he went back to England and sent for his grandmasters. They came over here with a higher degree of trickery and fuckery. Not magic, of trickery and fuckery. Not magic. They had no more magic.
Right.
Trickery and fuckery. They got the Constitution signed. Okay. They got everything put in place. It wasn't no big group of people sat down and made the Constitution. It was 3-4 people. John Hancock. You see, Thomas Jefferson. It was these people. They sat down and did it under the guidance of another man named Adam Weishaupt. Adam Weishaupt was the first terminology, or a person who used the terminology coming out of Europe, the Illuminati, where you get the terminology. He made a statement to the brothers that were part of him. Let our organization appear in many names, never in its original name. Let us be in everything, what you see right now today. Adam Weishaupt helped design this system. They devised a plan to kill off those Moors and take the power. You learned in school that George Washington never told a lie. He told his father he cut down the cherry tree. That is a metaphysics story. George Washington they cut down the Moorish star, the Moorish flag. They chopped that flag down. They killed the magic. They cut the brothers off. And the Scottish Rite Guild separated from the York Rite as a brotherhood.